I smelled whiskey and expensive perfume before I even saw her. The party was in full swing. Music too loud, fake smiles everywhere, suits and dresses swirling around like they were in some kind of corporate mating dance. I wasn't supposed to be here, but Emily had insisted. "Just one drink," she had said, her fingers tracing circles on my wrist that morning. "It's important to me." Yeah. Important to her. So, like an idiot, I showed up. And now I was standing near the bar, drink untouched, while my wife pressed her body against another man, whispering into his ear like they were the only two people in the room. I recognized the guy immediately. Nathan Carter, her coworker, married, 2 kids. The kind of guy who shook your hand too hard to prove something. I told myself to stay calm. I told myself that this didn't mean anything. But then she did it. Emily threw her head back and laughed. Not just any laugh. The laugh. The one she used to have just for me. The one that came out at 2 a.m. when we were tangled up in bedsheets. The one that made me believe I was the only man in the world who could make her feel that way. And now she was giving it to him. Something inside me turned cold. I moved before I could think, crossing the room in 5 long strides. Emily still hadn't seen me. But Nathan? Oh, he noticed. He stiffened, straightened his tie, and took a half step back. Guilty. Emily finally turned. "Oh, you made it!" she chirped, her eyes flashing with something I couldn't place. Not guilt. Annoyance. I didn't answer. I just stared at her. Then at Nathan. "What's so funny?" She blinked, then smirked. "Relax, babe. It was just a joke." Nathan shifted uncomfortably. "Yeah, man. Just messing around. Just a joke. Just messing around." Emily's hand was still resting on his chest. I heard my own breathing, the blood rushing in my ears. I could feel the eyes of half the room on us now, the way conversations started to die down. I reached for her wrist, gently but with purpose, and pulled her hand away from him. "Let's talk. Outside." Her smirk faltered, but then she did something I never expected. She turned to Nathan, rolled her eyes, and said loud enough for everyone to hear, "You're ending our marriage. Over a joke." The room went dead silent. And then, she laughed again. But this time it was at me. That's when I knew. This wasn't just a joke. This was the start of something much, much worse. Laughter. Sharp. Cold. Cruel. Emily wasn't embarrassed. She wasn't guilty. She wasn't even trying to explain herself. She was mocking me. People were staring now, watching the scene unfold like it was free entertainment. Some tried to look away, pretending they weren't hanging on every word. But I saw the smirks, the whispers behind half-empty glasses of wine. I stepped closer. "What the hell did you just say?" Emily sighed like I was exhausting her, like I was some clingy idiot making a scene over nothing. "I said," she drawled, swirling the drink in her hand, "you're ending our marriage over a joke, at a work party, in front of my colleagues. Do you realize how ridiculous you sound right now?" Nathan snorted. "That son of a..." My fist clenched, but I kept my voice steady. "A joke," I repeated. "That's what you call flirting with another man? Putting your hands on him?" She tilted her head. "Flirting? Wow. Someone's feeling insecure tonight. I swear to God." Something inside me snapped. Before I could stop myself, I grabbed her drink out of her hand and slammed it down on the bar. Liquid splashed onto the counter, onto her dress. A gasp rippled through the crowd. Emily took a step back, eyes wide. Not with fear, but with rage. "Oh, real mature, Mark." She grabbed a napkin, dabbing at the stain like I had just spilled coffee and not the last shred of my patience. "Jesus, grow up." I felt the eyes on me. I knew how this looked. The pissed-off husband, the dramatic scene, the golden wife playing the victim. Nathan took a step forward, all fake bravado now that he had an audience. "Hey man, maybe you should cool off." I turned on him so fast he flinched. "And maybe you should shut the hell up before I give you a real reason to be nervous." That did it. He shrank back, suddenly very interested in his empty glass. Emily laughed again. That same mocking, infuriating laugh. "You're embarrassing yourself," she said, shaking her head. "God, no wonder I..." She cut herself off. "No wonder you what? Emily?" Her face paled for a fraction of a second, just a flicker, but I saw it. And that was all I needed. Something wasn't adding up. The way she wasn't panicking. The way she wasn't even trying to talk her way out of this. The way Nathan had tensed before I ever walked up. Like he knew something I didn't. I took a slow breath, forcing my voice low and calm. "Emily," I said, "are you sleeping with him?" Silence. The music kept playing. Glasses clinked. But around us, not a single sound. I waited, and then she smiled. Not a nervous smile. Not an apologetic one. No, a challenge. She stepped closer, pressing a hand to my chest, her nails dragging slowly over the fabric of my shirt. Her breath, warm, whiskey-sweet, brushed my neck as she leaned in. And then, in the softest, most venomous whisper, she said, "What if I am?" The room spun. My body went ice-cold. I felt my own heartbeat hammering against my ribs, like it was trying to break free. And then she pulled back, picked up her clutch, and just like that, she walked away. Not a single glance back. Nathan hesitated, then hurried after her. I stood there, frozen, humiliated, furious, completely destroyed. And one single thought burned in my mind. This isn't over. The moment Emily walked away, everything around me turned into background noise. The chatter, the clinking glasses, the music. None of it mattered anymore. She had challenged me, not denied, not excused, dared me to react. Nathan had gone after her like a pathetic lapdog, leaving me standing there in the wreckage of whatever was left of my pride. But I wasn't just going to stand here and be the fool in the story she would tell later. I turned on my heel and walked out of the party, past the confused faces, past the fake sympathy in the eyes of people who had seen everything but would pretend they hadn't. I needed answers. 30 minutes later, the drive home was a blur. I barely remembered it. My hands gripped the steering wheel so tight I could feel the leather biting into my palms. I stormed into the house, heading straight for her phone charger. Emily was reckless, arrogant. She thought she was smarter than me, but she was also predictable. She had a habit of leaving her phone plugged into the kitchen counter while she got ready for bed. And tonight, that little detail was about to cost her. I yanked open the drawer where we kept random junk. Old receipts, dead batteries, extra keys. My hands closed around her old iPad. Emily never used it anymore. But I remembered something she didn't. Her iMessages were still linked to it. I turned it on. Locked. I gritted my teeth. Tried the passcode. Her birthday. No. Our anniversary. No. Her mom's birthday. No. I was about to lose it when I paused, took a breath, and typed in the one thing Emily actually cared about. Her sister's name. The screen unlocked. And just like that, I was inside. The messages. My hands were steady as I opened her messages. I didn't know what I was expecting. Maybe a flirty text, a late night, "I had fun tonight" message. But what I found was so much worse. Her conversation with Nathan wasn't just casual texts. It wasn't a harmless work friendship. It was months of late-night messages, secret meetings, inside jokes, memories that didn't include me. And then I saw it, a hotel reservation, from 2 weeks ago, paid for on our joint credit card. I stared at the screen. My heartbeat slowed. A strange, eerie calm settled over me. She hadn't just betrayed me. She had been using me to do it. I exhaled slowly. And then, with perfect clarity, I made a decision. Emily was going to regret this. Every single part of it. I didn't sleep. I didn't even try. I sat in the dark, staring at the screen, reading through every message, every disgusting detail of what Emily had been doing behind my back. They had a system, a routine. Nathan would text her from his work phone, never his personal one. They never spoke about their meetups directly, always in code, always vague, but not vague enough. Lunch meeting meant a hotel room. Late night at the office meant she was in his car somewhere. And the worst part? She was happy. Her messages were full of excitement. She flirted with him in a way she hadn't with me in years. She complained about me like I was some boring inconvenience she had to put up with between their little rendezvous. I swear he has no idea. It's almost too easy. He actually believes I'm working late, lol. God. I hate that he still tries. It's so pathetic. I should have been furious. I should have thrown the iPad across the room, punched a hole in the wall, screamed into the night like some heartbroken idiot. But I didn't. I sat there, staring at those words, and something inside me settled. The hurt, the shock, it was gone. I had everything I needed. At 5 a.m., I got up, took a shower, and got dressed like it was any other day. I made coffee, ate breakfast, and when Emily finally walked through the door, looking exhausted, her makeup smudged, her hair a mess, I didn't say a word. She blinked at me like a deer caught in headlights. "You're up early." I smiled. Couldn't sleep. She hesitated. I stayed at my sister's. She had a fight with her boyfriend. A full lie without a second of hesitation. Flawless. I nodded. Took a sip of coffee. "That's nice of you." She watched me, waiting for something suspicious. So I gave her nothing. She walked past me, slower than usual, probably wondering if I knew anything. She had no idea, and by the time she found out, it would be too late. Emily slept until noon. I let her. I sat in the living room, sipping my second cup of coffee, scrolling through her messages again, reading every word, every detail. Not to torture myself, but to make sure I had everything right. When she finally walked into the room, stretching, yawning like she hadn't spent the night betraying me, she smiled, like nothing had happened. "Morning," she said, running a hand through her tangled hair. I looked up. "Afternoon." She paused, blinked at the clock. "Shit, guess I was more tired than I thought." I didn't respond, just took another sip of coffee and went back to my phone. She hesitated, then sat across from me on the couch, pulling her knees up. "Hey, about last night." Finally, I set my mug down, lacing my fingers together. "Yeah." She bit her lip, fake nervous. "I didn't mean to embarrass you." I tilted my head. "Embarrass me?" She sighed, like this was hard for her, like she was the one suffering here. "You overreacted, Mark. It was just a joke. You know how I am. I get flirty when I drink. It doesn't mean anything." A full confession, wrapped in gaslighting. I smiled again. Of course, I overreacted. Relief flashed in her eyes. She thought she had won. I let the silence stretch, let her think it was over. Then I leaned forward. "By the way, how's your sister?" Emily blinked. "Huh, your sister." I kept my voice light, casual. "You said you stayed with her last night. She okay?" She hesitated, just for a second, but I saw it. "Yeah," she said quickly. "She and Kyle got into it again. I had to calm her down." I nodded slowly. "Kyle." She swallowed. "Yeah." I held her gaze for a moment longer. Then I picked up my phone and started typing. Emily frowned. "What are you doing?" I glanced up, smiling. Too wide, too calm. "Oh, just texting your sister. I'm sure she'll be happy I care so much." Her face drained of color. "Wait." She sat up straight, suddenly wide awake. "Mark, don't." But I was already pressing send. She lunged. I pulled my arm back, dodging her grab, watching her panic explode. "What the hell, Mark?" Her voice was sharp now, desperate. I set my phone down, crossed my arms. "Something wrong, Em?" Her hands curled into fists. "Why would you text her? You don't even like her." "Because I'm worried," I said, cocking my head. "After all, you were so concerned last night. I figured I should check in, make sure she's okay." Emily's breathing had changed. Her chest rose and fell too fast. And then her phone buzzed. She froze. Her eyes flicked to the screen, and I saw it. The pure, undeniable terror. Because we both knew exactly what was on that message. The truth. And this time, she couldn't lie her way out. Emily stared at her phone like it was a live grenade. She didn't move, didn't breathe. I waited. Her fingers twitched, like she wanted to grab it, flip it over, control the damage. But she knew. I was watching. So she forced a breath, tried to play it cool. Tried. "You're being really weird," she said, voice tight. I leaned back. "Weird." She forced a laugh. "Yeah, you're just ugh." She rubbed her forehead like this was stressful for her, like she was the victim in this situation. "Why are you even acting like this?" I smiled. Slow. Sharp. "I don't know, Em. Maybe because I just found out my wife is a liar." Her whole body stiffened. The air between us shifted. like the moment before a thunderstorm. When the sky goes dark and everything hums with tension. She recovered fast. Oh my God, Mark. Seriously? Over this? You're still mad about the party? No, I said. I'm mad that you're a bad liar. She scoffed. Excuse me? Your sister, I said, nodding toward her phone. Let's see what she said. She went completely still. For one perfect second, I saw it all over her face. The math she was doing in her head. The desperate search for an excuse, an escape. Then she tried to flip the script. She crossed her arms, narrowing her eyes. Wow, you're really spying on me now? You don't trust me? I let out a short laugh. Oh, I know I can't trust you. Her nostrils flared. That's disgusting. What is? I asked, tilting my head. The spying? Or the fact that I caught you? She opened her mouth. Shut it. Her phone buzzed again. She flinched. Go ahead, I said, gesturing. Check it. She clenched her jaw. I don't have to do anything. I shrugged. No, you don't. But we both know exactly what's waiting on that screen. Emily's breathing changed. She knew. She was cornered. So I leaned in, close enough to feel her panic. Just admit it, I murmured. Say it out loud. Her throat bobbed. Her hands balled into fists. Her whole body screamed fight or flight. And then, she did something I didn't expect. She smiled. Slow, small, dangerous. And in a voice barely above a whisper, she said, What if I don't? A challenge. A warning. I stared at her. Cold. Unblinking. Then I smiled back. Because Emily had no idea, I wasn't playing games anymore. Emily thought she was untouchable. She thought she could twist this, manipulate it, drag me into her little game where she always won in the end. But not this time. I let the silence hang between us, stretching it out until she started to shift. Uncomfortable. That fake little smirk? It was slipping. Her fingers drummed against her leg, nervous. She hated when she wasn't in control. I leaned back, calm. Too calm. So, you're not gonna admit it? She tilted her head, still trying to play coy. Admit what? I smiled. Cruel. Controlled. That you're a lying, cheating piece of. Her phone buzzed again. We both looked at it. Then, before she could react, I lunged. She gasped too slow. My hand snatched the phone off the table. She screamed my name, diving forward. But I was already up, moving, stepping back. Give it back! She shrieked, eyes wild now. I flipped the screen open. One notification, preview of the text. And I read it out loud, just to watch her break. Emily? WTF? Mark just texted me. Call me now. Silence. I lifted my eyes, met hers. Emily's whole body was rigid, frozen, exposed. She had nothing left. No lies, no excuses, no charming little deflections. Just me standing there holding the evidence. I watched as it all crashed down on her. Then I said low and sharp, I hope he was worth it. And then as she opened her mouth, asterisk, maybe to beg, maybe to scream, maybe to lie one last time. Asterisk, I tossed her phone onto the couch. And I turned. And I walked away. Because Emily didn't realize it yet. But this was just the beginning. Emily didn't follow me. Not right away. I could feel her shock, her hesitation. The gears in her head spinning too fast as I walked down the hall toward our bedroom. She thought she still had time. Thought she could find the right angle, the perfect lie, the excuse that would fix everything. But there was nothing left to fix. I stepped into our room, grabbed a duffel bag from the closet, and yanked it open. That's when I heard her. Footsteps. Fast. Desperate. Then, Emily's voice, sharp and full of panic. Mark, wait. She appeared in the doorway, breathing hard. Her eyes darted to the bag. Her hands clenched into fists. Now she cared. I didn't even look at her. Just started grabbing clothes, stuffing them inside. She took a step in. You're really doing this? Still, I said nothing. She let out a nervous laugh. Oh, come on. You're being dramatic. I zipped the bag halfway, paused, slowly turned my head. Dramatic, I repeated, my voice deathly calm. She swallowed. Yes, you're overreacting. I mean, Jesus, Mark, it was just some texts. I let out a sharp, bitter laugh. Just some texts. I reached into my pocket, pulled out my phone, and tapped the screen. Would you like me to read them back to you? I scrolled, my voice turning mocking. Oh, here's a good one. God, I hate that he still tries. It's so pathetic. Emily flinched. I took a step toward her. Tell me, Em, what exactly is pathetic? The fact that I loved you? That I trusted you? She shook her head. Mark, I didn't mean it like that. You were just what? My voice snapped. She jumped. And for the first time, I saw it. Fear. Not because she was scared of me. No, Emily was too arrogant for that. She was scared because she was losing. You don't get to talk your way out of this, I said, voice low, steady. Not this time. She was shaking now. Okay, just stop packing. Let's talk about this. I smirked. Oh? Now you want to talk. I threw a shirt into the bag. Too bad. I'm done listening. She panicked. Emily lunged for my wrist, trying to physically stop me. But the moment her fingers touched my skin, I ripped my arm away like she was poison. She gasped, stared at me, eyes wide, lips parted, shocked, because for our entire marriage, she had always been able to touch me, manipulate me, pull me back in with a soft hand, a whispered excuse. But not this time. Never again. I exhaled through my nose, shaking my head. Then softly, too softly, I said, don't ever touch me again. Emily's lips trembled, and I saw it. The moment she realized she had truly lost me. But she still had one move left. Her face crumpled. Her voice broke. Mark, please, she whispered, her first real plea. I love you. I froze, looked her in the eye, and then I smiled sharp, cold, deadly. No, you don't. And then I zipped up my bag, walked past her, and left her standing there, broken and alone. Because Emily was finally out of moves. Emily wasn't done. I knew she wouldn't just let me walk away. She had spent years controlling every piece of our life. Our routines, our friends, the way I dressed, the way I spoke. Emily had a way of making everything seem like her decision. Even if I was the one who wanted something, she'd twist it so it felt like she allowed it. And now, she was losing grip. So, of course, she followed me. I was halfway down the hallway when she grabbed onto the doorframe, voice rising in desperation. Mark, just listen to me. I kept walking. She stomped forward, her breathing ragged. You're leaving? Seriously? You're just walking out like what? Like none of this mattered. I stopped, turned around, and Emily took a step back. Just one. I'm walking out, I said slowly, my voice steady, lethal. Because it's the last thing you ever expected me to do. Her lips parted, but no words came. She wanted to argue, wanted to scream, but she knew I was right, because Emily never thought I'd leave. I watched her chest rise and fall, watched the panic in her eyes twist into something else, something ugly, something dangerous. And then she did it. The last card, the final desperate move. She straightened up, forced a cruel little smirk, and spat out. You're not leaving. We both know you don't have the balls. I laughed, actually laughed, loud, bitter, shaking my head. That's cute, I muttered. You really think you still have control here, don't you? Emily folded her arms, defensive now, trying to mask her fear. But I wasn't playing anymore. I took a step forward, watched her still, eyes flicking to the door, trapped, and then I said, clear and final, you're going to regret every second of this. Her breath hitched, and I saw it, true fear, because Emily might have been a liar, a manipulator, a cheater, but she was also smart, and she just realized something. This wasn't over. Not by a long shot. Emily had always been the one in control. Every fight, every disagreement, every single moment of tension between us. She dictated how it ended. She decided when it was over, when we could move on, when I was allowed to be okay again. But this wasn't ending on her terms. I could see it in her eyes. The second I told her she'd regret every moment of this, something shifted, because she knew I meant it. For the first time in our entire marriage, Emily had no idea what I was about to do next. And that terrified her. Her throat bobbed. She tried to keep up the act, but I could see the cracks. The real Emily was showing now. "You're being cruel," she whispered. I smiled. Cruel. Sharp. Unapologetic. Good. She blinked, caught off guard. She thought she could guilt me, pull me back with a sad look, a trembling lip. Not this time. I turned, grabbed my bag, and walked out. But before I stepped through the door, I paused, looked over my shoulder. Emily tensed. Then, in a voice so calm it barely sounded like my own, I said, "By the way, you should probably tell Nathan's wife before I do." Her face drained of color. I didn't wait for a response. I walked out, shut the door behind me, and left her standing there, shaking, silent, and for the first time in her life, completely powerless. But this wasn't over. Not until I burned everything she built to the ground that I didn't drive home. Because I didn't have a home anymore. Not the one I thought I had anyway. The house, the marriage, the life I built with Emily. All of it was a lie. A carefully constructed illusion, held together by manipulation and my own blind trust. But now I saw everything clearly, and I wasn't going to be the only one. I pulled into a parking lot, gripping my phone so tight my knuckles ached. The messages were still on my screen. Emily's words, Nathan's words, the proof of everything. One text, that's all it would take. I hovered over her name, Olivia Carter, Nathan's wife. We had met a few times, barbecues, company Christmas parties. She was nice, sweet even, always trying to start conversations with Emily, always complimenting her outfits. And all the while, Emily was sleeping with her husband. My thumb hovered over the call button, and then I pressed it. It rang. Once, twice, 3 times. Then a click. A tired voice. Confused. "Hello." I took a breath. Steady. Controlled. "Olivia," I said. "It's Mark." A pause. "Oh, Mark? Hi. Is everything okay?" "No. Everything is a disaster." But I kept my voice even. "I need to tell you something, and I need you to listen carefully." Silence. And then, hesitant. "Okay?" I exhaled slowly, and then I told her. Everything. The texts. The lies. The hotels. The fact that while she was at home, trusting her husband, he was with my wife. First, she didn't speak. Just silence. Then, when she finally did, a sharp, shaking inhale. "Are you sure?" she whispered. I didn't hesitate. "I have proof." Another pause. Longer. Then a shift. Because Olivia, she wasn't crying. She was breathing heavy. And when she finally spoke, her voice was cold. "Send me everything." I did. Every message. Every receipt. Every single piece of proof. And when I hit send, I knew Emily's world was about to crumble. Because I wasn't just leaving. I was taking everything down with me. 20 minutes passed before my phone buzzed. Olivia Carter. I picked up immediately. "Did you get them?" Silence. Then her voice, cold and sharp. "That son of a bitch." I almost felt bad for Nathan. Almost. I could hear her breathing, steady but controlled. Like she was forcing herself to stay calm. "How long?" she finally asked. "At least 6 months," I said. "Maybe longer." A bitter, humorless laugh. "Unbelievable." I leaned back in the driver's seat, staring at the ceiling. "What are you going to do?" She didn't even hesitate. "Destroy him." I smiled. Good. Because I had just set a chain reaction in motion, and Emily had no idea what was coming. 1 hour later, I parked a block away from the house. I didn't want Emily to hear me coming. Because this wasn't just about leaving. It was about making sure she felt everything. I stepped inside, quiet, controlled. The living room was empty. The kitchen, too. Then I heard it. Emily's voice, frantic, coming from the bedroom. I crept closer. "No, listen to me, Nathan, you need to fix this now." A pause. Then, her voice dropped, panicked. "What do you mean Olivia knows? How the hell?" She stopped, because she had just put it together. Slowly, she turned. Saw me standing in the doorway. Her face drained of color. I didn't smile, didn't gloat. I just folded my arms and watched as she unraveled. Right in front of me. Emily dropped the phone to her side. "Mark." I tilted my head. "Something wrong." Her jaw clenched. "You did this." I shrugged. "You did this." Her breath hitched, and for the first time she looked scared. Good. Because Emily had finally lost.